What is spiritual ascension energy? I'm going to explain in this video exactly what it is and how it works, because there's a lot of conflicting information about ascension energy and most of it is kind of messed up or wrong. So right now the physical reality, or what we call reality, is being rebooted or upgraded, uploaded into a different version. And everyone's being rebooted or upgraded in terms of their energy, their spiritual and ascension energy. And you've heard this term probably a lot, especially in the comment sections with everything that's going on now. Now, I'm going to explain what it is, but firstly just realise it's normally linked to what we call the dark night of the soul, which is where you have this period between a few days to a few weeks where you're really depressed and sad. Although you're a high vibe person and you're becoming an even higher vibration person, you tend to get this dark night of the soul where you feel really depressed and sad. Maybe it's usually linked to when you realise something, when you realise how the world is working or what systems are in place and how things behind the scenes are working. It's kind of dark stuff, and you will have this dark night of the soul. Now, don't worry about that. That will pass. But usually that happens before or during your ascension energy. There are several types of ascension energy and they kind of have different side effects and symptoms. So I'm going to explain them all in this video, so make sure you watch the whole thing. I'm also going to give you some tips as well, which you do not want to miss, so trust me, watch this whole thing. So firstly, we have the awakening or ascension of the mind. Okay, this is probably the most common and this is usually what happens first. It's usually experienced as like a synchronicity or a feeling where everything kind of clicks into place. Almost like when you know something before you know how you know it. It's kind of like intuition, but more in the mind base. That's kind of like ascension energy, and if you have that, that's a good sign that you're on the right track to ascending, basically. Another sort of side effect or type of ascension energy is that you might have a new personality. This might be like a new way of being, a new set of mannerisms or a new belief system, which will slowly start forming based on your ascension. And this is very common. This is incredibly common. A good way of knowing if that's happening to you is people will start commenting saying, you're acting a bit different or something's kind of different with you. Usually they will say it's a positive change, but if people are ingrained in their old ways of thinking, they might think, oh, why are you acting all weird and spiritual and happy all the time? That's a good sign, okay? That's a really good sign. And then you have your energetic awakening, known as and there's different terms for this, right? Chi, prana, yogic energy, kundalini. These energetic movements that are happening within you will get more and more intense as time goes on. Things like yoga, meditation, gratitude, positive thinking, these will sort of increase that energy. But it can also, usually it would increase over time, right? But it can also happen as like a burst or a spontaneous event or moment. This is known as enlightenment or awakening. Different terms for it. Maybe enlightenment is probably the wrong term in this example, because it's not the final stage of awakening, it's more like one of the beginning stages. It can be painful. I'm going to get into the side effects as well of ascension energy. It can be painful and annoying, but don't worry about it for now. And then almost last, we have awakening of the soul, which is where things like your intuition, your third eye, pineal gland, you'll start having more OBEs, astral projection, more lucid dreams. You might even have contact from your twin flame if you have one, and these sorts of things are associated with your soul awakening, which is a part of the ascension process but not the final stage. The final stage is actually what we call enlightenment or total awakening. And each level has different amounts of spiritual and ascension energy associated with it. So when we say ascension energy, we basically mean a raising or an upgrading of your person, your energetic body. And this can be in the form of physical energy in waking life, but it can also be mental energy, it can be soul ascension. Really, all of these terms sort of relate to the same thing, which is awakening and ascension. Now, total ascension or awakening and enlightenment, it is difficult and it's going to take a while to reach that stage. However, it's becoming more and more easy now, as with everything that's happening in the world as we ascend from 3D to 5D planet. Ascension and enlightenment will become easier, but that doesn't mean they're going to be simple. It might take some people longer than others, but it basically refers to when you're able to completely dissolve your ego and realize that you are both nothing and everything at the same time. A weird concept, and if that sounds crazy to you, you're not quite there yet, and so you need to do more work on yourself and go inwards to really understand and internalize that. When you truly believe that, then you're one step closer to enlightenment. Alright, so in terms of the energy itself, we're going to explain how that works. So why do you have ascension energy? Why is there a weird feeling of ascension energy? Now, when I say that, I'm referring to not just the positive side of it, where you feel good, energetic, and you have this motivation and life force flowing through you, but it can also be painful or annoying, and there's a reason for that. This ascension energy is basically light and consciousness flooding into you that was already you before. So if you imagine yourself as this infinite, great, powerful being which has been condensed, or a tiny part of you has been condensed into this dense body that we call the human body. When you ascend, you're basically letting more of that light into your human body. Now, the human body is not really equipped to deal with all of that. The human body is like a vessel or a vehicle to allow us to transport ourselves to that. However, when we ascend, we're basically letting more light into the human body, and the side effects of that for some people is it can be headaches, you can have like tingling sensations, pressure, you might feel like your bones are stretching. There's all kinds of weird ascension energy symptoms which might be painful or annoying. They might be overwhelming and scary as well. It's really common to feel like crackling sensations or even like a pressure in your veins, in your blood, in your third eye especially. But don't worry, that is just a normal side effect. It's very common, and it's basically you're recoding your DNA, your actual DNA in your body. You're recoding it, almost like you're rebuilding yourself from the inside out. But what happens is, as you ascend, you also help others ascend. And the reason for that is because of resonance. We know we're all vibration, okay? There's been proved by science, it's not just a crazy thing. Like, look up quantum mechanics. Everything is a vibration or an oscillation. This has been referred to as like an oscillation, a wave, waveform, a wave reality. We're all vibrationing. So when you change the vibration of one thing, by default change or affect the vibration of things near that thing. So the most obvious example of this is a tuning fork. Okay, if you take two tuning forks, you hit one against a bar, and then you hold that tuning fork next to another tuning fork, eventually over a few seconds they will both be vibrating at the same frequency. You can do this yourself, this actually happens. And in exactly the same way, when you ascend or raise your vibrations, you affect everyone around you within a small distance, but also if you set your intention strong enough, and this is why mass meditations are so important, because if everyone does it at the same time, then the effect is amplified. This is why, just going off on a little tangent here, if you are living with a partner, it's important to meditate at the same time, because you amplify the effect of both of your meditation, and it's not like 1 + 1 = 2, it becomes 1 + 1 = 3 in terms of the effect that your meditation has on both of you. But going back to ascension and resonance, yeah, when you ascend and raise your vibrations, you affect everyone else as well. So that's why at the moment we've reached a critical mass in this reality where enough people have ascended and raised their vibrations that it's going to be a snowball effect. Everyone else around them is going to start ascending as well. And this has been a long time in the making. This has not happened overnight. This has taken a long time to build up to this point, but that's why it's so exciting. And that's why right now you might be noticing that light workers, high vibe people are attracting themselves to you, or vice versa. You are being able to manifest things really easily. Obstacles and challenges are falling away. Your limiting beliefs are falling away, being left behind, because we've reached that critical mass where ascension is becoming a lot easier. Now going back to the symptoms, you might feel with this ascension energy, you'll feel this more intensely as time goes on. It won't just be like, this happened now and then that's it. It will become more intense as time goes on, especially in the next 3 to 6 months leading up to what could be the peak, which will be in about November time. November 2020 is going to be an important time for various reasons. I don't want to go too much into it in this video because it's quite a big topic, but you will be experiencing this more and more as time goes on towards November and the end of the year, and then also afterwards as well, but that will be kind of like an intense time then. And so what do you do about it? You're having these weird symptoms, you're feeling like weird, it might be like Kundalini symptoms, it might be energetic, vibrational symptoms, you might feel like you have really weird dreams, or your astral project, your intuition's going crazy, your third eye's tingling or hurting. Well, just remember this, okay? This physical body is a tiny, tiny fraction of your potential as a consciousness and as a being, as a soul. So this body is basically a shell. So although as the light is coming in, it might feel like it's hurting this body, you shouldn't care about that. You shouldn't care about what is happening to your senses in this physical body, because this is just a vehicle and a vessel. When this avatar or shell is used, you will ascend and go on to the next thing. So don't worry too much about it. I know it might seem like it hurts, but it's not doing any physical harm to your physical body. It's the opposite. It's actually upgrading it. I'm trying to think of an example that everyone will understand. I mean, I don't know if anyone's watched X-Men, okay, but in the X-Men film, when Wolverine first gets his claws, right, they inject this, it's kind of a bad example, but it's the only one I can think of. They inject this adamantium into his bones, which makes him indestructible. It's like an upgrade for him, but at the time, it really, really hurts him because his physical body is not used to holding that power. It's the same kind of thing. The light is coming in, you're not used to this amount of power and energy, and so as it surges through your body, at least at the start, it's going to hurt. It's going to feel weird. It's going to be uncomfortable. Not always, but for most people. Now, there are obviously a big chunk of people out there who are thinking, well, I feel great. I feel amazing. I have this energy. Nothing is wrong here. My ascension energy symptoms are positive. Great, carry on. But this is just mainly for the people who may be worried, scared, overwhelmed. Don't worry about it. It's going to become more and more common for people to get this ascension energy and these symptoms. So literally all we need to do then is just stay in that state of being, stay in that positive high vibration state, let negative beliefs fall away. From this point on, you shouldn't need to do much intense work on your negative beliefs because they will just sort of drop away themselves, for most people at least. Don't just completely give up and just relax, but limiting beliefs will tend to fall away more easily now than ever before, because of that critical mass thing I said, and because of resonance, because everyone around you is raising and ascending at the same time. So it makes it easier for everyone at the same time. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, just basically carry on doing what you're doing. Step into your purpose. This is, by the way, this is not the time to get a dead-end job and listen to your peers and friends and parents telling you to do this. This is the time to basically be very courageous and bold and do exactly what you feel you should be doing in your heart. Really, this is the time to do that. You do not want to be wasting your time right now going to university, learning some pointless subject that you don't care about to try and get some pointless job to pay your taxes. Ignore, that's the old reality. That's the old paradigm. That is dissolving right now. So ignore all that, focus on following your heart and doing what you were meant to do, your purpose. And trust me, if you just take the first step, it will become so easy. Like, you'll be miles ahead in terms of how easy it is, how fulfilled you feel than everyone else who does what they were told. So it's really like two different realities basically. And right now it is literally like that. There are two versions or two realities happening at the same time. You have people on Earth right now who are still living in 3D. They're still concerned with material possessions, they're still going to their jobs that they don't like, they don't understand or know about any of this stuff going on. And then you have the other people who are in 5D already or moving towards 5D when they're working on raising their vibrations, they're working through their purpose, they're positive, their default state is happy and positive. You have these two different realities at the same time happening. But don't let that put you off. Don't try and focus on that and think, oh, I'm better than them because I'm ascending. Like, it's nothing like that. They're just at different stages of the journey and they're just a bit further behind in terms of the timeline. But eventually, and certainly by November, December time this year, we will see most of this planet ascending. And it might take a little bit longer, it might even happen a little bit sooner, but November time will be the time to watch for. So I hope this has made sense. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what your Ascension energy symptoms are. Let me know how you feel with all of this. Or just tell me I'm crazy. I don't really mind. I'd love to hear your comments down below, and see you next time.